And now we get a call from Deep Throat again.
Watch out. That place is filled with gas. Also, the floor is electrified. First, destroy the high voltage switch. It's the switchboard on the northwest wall.
But how? I can't reach it.
Use a remote-controlled missile.
So let's take the Nikita and shoot. Now, some of you probably know this already, but in the original, first of all, there were gun turrets in this room, so the missile could get shot down on its way to the circuit board. And second, there was actually two views when you shot the Nikita. There was a regular third-person view where you just saw the missile flying about, and if you pressed the triangle button you went into a first-person view mode. And I think they cut out the third-person view mode because it didn't really work that well, at least I don't think so. So that's actually one of the additions that kind of worked. Although it wasn't necessary to remove it because you just used first person anyway, you could just press into first person anyway, but whatever. But the gun turrets in this room, I think they could have kept that. Yeah, I don't know, it's not a big deal at all, but they added a slightly more challenging... They made the area slightly more challenging. Here it's just, okay, just don't hit the walls and you're good. But in the original it was just don't hit the walls and make the missile fly fast enough so it doesn't get shot. But anyway, now we get a new cutscene, which I, for one, don't like. Okay, this scene is really, really cool, it's really awesome, but I think it's not necessary, first of all, and I think it's way over the top, and I think it really shouldn't have... I think the perspective of the gamer is confused in this. I said that really weird, I think, but I'll explain what I mean later, but what I think is you shouldn't see this. I know that most people think this scene is really cool, and I have to agree it isn't actually bad, it's really cool, it's really well animated and all that, but... And it is, I mean, that in particular, most people would probably say, wow, that's awesome. A guy cutting another guy in half. You don't see that too often in games. Or maybe you do. But anyway. The thing that I just don't really like about this scene is, if you have played the original and you think about it, throughout the entire game, you're following Snake's story. You're following his viewpoint. And that's why when you get here, you just hear the sounds and you hear some combat, and when you walk out, this is basically what you see. A lot of dead soldiers that looks like they've been cut. So you're probably thinking, okay, this must be the ninja, but you can't be 100% positive of it. I mean, you probably should have guessed it, but anyway, you haven't been confirmed that that's what happened until you walk around the corner and see the ninja get out of his stealth mode and kill the last soldier. That's when you finally see him, and that's when you know, okay, now I have to confront this guy. But in this, for some reason, they kind of change the perspective, you know, because you're supposed to follow Snake, as far as I figured out anyway, but for some reason, for a slight moment, they changed it to, okay, now you're just following the ninja. So for that scene, it's no longer Snake's story. It may sound weird, I might not explain myself, maybe I'm not explaining myself good enough either, but I just feel like it's misplaced. It shouldn't be there. It doesn't have the same tension either. It's cool, but it doesn't have the tension of the original scene. So it ruins both the atmosphere and the perspective.
Stealth camouflage? Who are you?
There's the infamous pissing scene,
What? What are
which
you
has
talking
been
about?
parodied a bunch of times.
Oh, what next?
Snake.
But, I mean, come on, if you were in that situation, especially if you're a bit geeky like, for instance, me, and you saw this happening, I think I would wet my pants too. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I mean, a cyborg ninja with a fucking huge katana-like sword or whatever it is comes up to you and looks like he's about to kill you if you don't tell him where his friend is, and you have no idea what he's talking about. And then some other soldier walks in and shoots a bullet. Wouldn't that freak you out?
What's with these guys? It's like
But anyway,
one of
that's...
Japanese animes.
I'm not trying to say it's not a bit weird to have
What is it?
a character pee himself, but it's fitting. It fits the scene. I've never had any problem with that. And I think some of the parodies I've seen of it is quite funny. And for those of you who want to know what I'm talking about with parodies, check out Metal Gear Awesome. It's one of the best parody movies, especially of Metal Gear, I've seen in a while. Probably already seen. Some of you have probably already seen it though. But it's really cool. But anyway, now we're about to hop into the Solid Snake versus Cyborg Ninja fight.
Now, make me feel it. Make me feel alive again.
So here we go. Now there's several ways to defeat this guy, but I usually go for the hand-to-hand combat thing, just if nothing else, just because I think it makes more sense. Because it's a throwback to the old Metal Gear games on the MSX systems and or NES systems, where you fought this guy hand-to-hand in the middle of a minefield. And besides, he doesn't have any projectile weapons either. I mean, he has a sword, which he uses until you punch him a bit, but he has no projectile weapon, so for some reason I just feel like it's unfair of me to shoot him. And that's not what I'm trying to do here. The reason I equipped the Farmus is because you actually deal a little more damage to him if you punch him with this gun, or any other gun for that matter, but the bigger the gun, the more damage you deal him. And I'm going to do another thing here to just give me more opportunity to punch him, because since he has an electrical system or whatever in that exoskeleton over his, you can just throw a chaff grenades and he will freeze up, giving you a free punch. The only drawback is that you can only do one of those punch kick cycles before he sits down, and you have to wait until he can move again. But it's a good technique, I think. By the way, see Mario and Yoshi in the corner here? Give you more health. Mario gives you more health if you shoot him. That's a pretty nifty addition. Don't know if it's necessary or anything, but hey. Guess this is their way of saying, hey, it's on Nintendo, and remember what else Nintendo has? No, but anyway. Still fighting this guy. Waiting for him to freeze. Punch him.